you know, Angela speaks about teamwork. All of the other people I talked to who went to Bancroft, they're aware of teamwork. I'm seeing something bounce back in your court, and I can testify to this, Angela and Shaana. Doc Pritchett believes in teamwork as well, and he also has that integrity piece, and
yes.
he has no problem sharing the load.
Right.
You know what I mean? And knowing your personnel, making your teammates better.
Right.
You know, so
yeah, that's a good point, Michael. Lifting up your teammates and making them better.
Yeah, yeah.
I have one question like to ask Angela. You know, I noticed in your bio, you spent a lot of time in the schools in the D.C. area and the Virginia area. Why are you back in Delaware? What brought you back to Delaware?
Right. Well, you know, to be honest, I mean, especially in Virginia, I mean, I judged at science fairs. I even started a math contest, and it's probably on its like 20 year,
amazing.
You know. And
really?
I mean, I did so much, you know, in Virginia, presenting even to college students. I was even asked to speak at a military Women's History Month, you know, but I always wanted to do it in Delaware as well.
Yes.
And I even offered to my old alma mater, Howard, you know, I let her know, you know, let the principal know that I would, you know, be willing to, you know, to share with the students if you know, gave my contact information, others as well.
Right.
And finally, someone has. Miss Livingston was the first person that actually took me up on my offer at the Thomas Edison charter school. And actually that was I was so happy to do that because that was my first elementary school.
Right.
Yeah, so that was really, you know, it was just like full circle. So we moved from that. I went to George Gray. It was George Gray at the time. And I was there until the middle of 3rd grade, and that's when I transferred to the area where Bancroft and Drew Powell, you know. So, you know, so actually, it wasn't that I didn't want to. I actually let people know and, you know, that I would be interested, gave them my information, but, you know, people just didn't follow up on it, and I was like, okay, you know, that was fun. I just continued to give my time to Virginia and DC, and, you know.
That, to me, you know what, sometimes you get what you ask for. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about vacuums in terms of certain role models and things like that.
Right.
They're here. You're here.
Right.
You know, Shaana, you're here. The resources are there. We must use them, and I think that it is pretty much a shame that, you know, so much time has passed before you are actually taken up on your offer. Those other schools and other locations have benefited for a number of years, where we too, our students could have been benefiting all along. I think you said 22 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And one other thing too, I was going to say, when I was in school, I didn't really, you know, get too much. You know, people didn't come to our schools, and I don't know if they did it at Bancroft or not, but I don't remember any professionals coming and, you know, encouraging us. You know.
Now, see, I do. I didn't go to primary school or junior high in the Delaware area. My dad was in the Air Force, but I do remember professionals coming.
In Delaware? But
well, no, not in Delaware. Right. But I remember the impact it had on me. You know, I am not a science girl, nor am I a math girl, okay? We all know that I'm not. But I remember, like, the professionals coming and talking and telling us the steps to take to get there, wherever there was for you. You know, because the progression that you gave us led you here. But the progression applies whether you're going to be an opera singer, whether you're going to be a gymnast, you know, a gym teacher, whether you're, no matter what you're doing, the steps are the same as far as finding a mentor, finding the resources, keeping your head in the books, asking for help. All of those things are the same. And when we had professionals come in, you know, it wasn't every school year and it wasn't every school, but it did make an impact.
And it really does. And one thing you said kind of I'm trying to think. It was something as you was talking. I had a thought. Oh, I was going to say. Also, too, I just like to say that NASA. You think always engineers, scientists, mathematicians, but we have everybody there. I mean, we have lawyers because we have patent lawyers and and for other reasons we have lawyers at NASA. So you can work for NASA if you want to be a lawyer. You can still work for NASA. You can be a doctor because we have to take the employees have to take physicals. So we have to have doctors and nurses on staff. You can. We also have accountants because we have, especially in the project management area, we have resource analysts, we have schedulers, so we have business, if you're in business management. So you don't have to be in a technical field to work for NASA.
So is my understanding correct in that NASA actually does a lot of things in-house as opposed to contracting for everything outside?
Right. We do have contractors, but we do a lot in-house.
Right. That's good to know.
Well, I think this is a good time for us to take a moment to go to a quick break.
Yes.
And then when we come back, we will get questions from look at them beaming over there. We'll come back and get questions from our students from the various school districts, and you guys can ask questions to Angela, okay? We'll be right back. Well, one of the things we have the opportunity to do now is to have our students over in Studio B. We have 9 students ranging in, I'm not sure what your ages are, but I think you're from 6th to 11th grade. Is that correct? So they've all created their own questions. So we're going to start with question number 1. Now I want you to stand up straight and say your name and ask your question, okay?
Can you tell the school they're from?
Oh yeah, and say what school you're from.
Okay. Hi, Miss Mason. I'm Carla Tillman. I'm from Dickinson High School. I just have a couple questions for you. As I was looking over your biography, I saw that you had a numerous amount of awards. I mean, being a woman and winning and receiving that many awards, how did you feel?
Wow. Of course, I felt very honored. I try to stay grounded, though. It always makes you feel good, when you're honored for the work that you've done, because you feel like that it wasn't in vain, So that was, the main thing. It's like, wow, somebody really appreciated the work that I did. So.
Go ahead.
Also, as I said before, you have made many accomplishments. Like throughout your life, you have made so many accomplishments. You've done so much. So what are your future goals now?
Good question. Good question. Well, wow, that is a really good question.
Thank you.
Because right now, I'm sort of, I guess as far as promotion-wise, as far as NASA, the next step would be, because I'm at the peak of the grade level, so the next step would be a senior executive, which is called a SES. I suppose if that opportunity came up, I guess I have to might walk through that door. And preparing for retirement, because I do have 22 years in, but the one thing is I'll have my time in, but I won't have my age in. I probably will try to do more work for the community when I retire, and continue to encourage students to, get into technical fields.
Okay. Go ahead, number 2.
Hi, Miss Mason. My name is Daniel Huff, and I'm from AI Middle School. And I have a question. And what is one of the most important functions of your position?
Currently, I have 5 future satellite missions that they won't begin to launch until something like 2020. So, in each mission, I work with other NASA centers, so we have a lot of telecons. That's basically like on a telephone where you're talking to people from, another state. So basically, the team is not just at my center; they're from all over the nation. In California and Hampton and just different locations. So so basically, communication is very, very, very important. It's critical because because basically sometimes, because I'm at sort of like a top level as far as the position I'm in, it's a top level position. So I hear about the budget and the impacts and different aspects of a project at the top, and it's very important that I'm able to communicate it properly, because if not, then rumors can get started. And then also too, as far as just communicating on just getting everyday work done.
And then following through to make sure what was supposed to be done was done.
Exactly. But communication, I would say, is very, because we're already working as a team, but you know, you have to keep communicating. You know, that's a really big thing. And can I just say something too? And this is kind of like a little bit off subject, but it's sort of like communication too. I just want to say that you can be the best like engineer or scientist, because I know you guys are excelling in math and science, and I'm really proud of you. But you also have to be able to present your work too. So you can be like the best mathematician in the world, but if you don't know how to present what you're doing, your results, then you may not go very far. So make sure you put public speaking in your agenda as well.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, about sitting up and speaking clearly and straight out. Now, remember when we were talking before and I said everybody was going to ask one question? Okay, we have a little time, so if you have 2 questions, when it's your turn, you can ask both questions, okay? If you have 3 or 4 or 10 questions, we'll get back to you, okay? So go ahead with your second question.
My second question is, what is the data acquisition system of the Aircraft Landing Dynamics Facility, which you won a NASA award for?
Okay, the data acquisition system, basically the Aircraft Landing Dynamics Facility, it has a computer system, you know, attached to it. And as we do these tests at this facility, and I wish I had a picture to show you the actual facility, but basically we actually run real time. So as that test carriage is going down that track, we're getting data real time, you know, like on the spot. But what's picking up that data is a data acquisition system. And when I got there, that system was very, very, very outdated. We actually had to even write down some of the, say the results, which means that's a lot of room for human error, right? So basically, I came up with the idea to upgrade our data acquisition system. I rallied to get the funding from a whole different organization, and we actually finished on time and on budget. So the data acquisition system is basically, it's a computer system that is able to capture the data, the test data from actual real-time tests.
So in order to accomplish that, you definitely had strong presentational skills
to get money from someplace
else, right?
I guess, I don't know if it was presentation skills or just people skills.
Well, they're one and the same, I believe.
Yeah.
You know?
That was an interesting story too, because when I talked about the glass ceiling, when I worked at Wiley Laboratories, I don't know if I should be putting this out there, but anyway, I had a boss there that actually tried to stop my growth. And his bosses saw something in me, and so that I worked great with clients, because we supported NASA when I first, you know, I worked there for about a year before I actually got on it with NASA. And he was the one where I became the systems programmer at one of the wind tunnels, and later I went to structures dynamics at the Aircraft Landing Dynamics facility, and I decided to upgrade the data acquisition system. Guess what? I had to rate that boss that gave me a hard time. It was my responsibility to rate their performance, because if they didn't do well, they wouldn't have got money, or they wouldn't have got, like, when contracts are awarded, they can get extra money for meeting milestones. So if I wanted to be vindictive, I could have, you know, said they did poor, and then they wouldn't have got as much money, you know, from that position. So but I took the high road and did the right thing. Integrity, you know. But it's so interesting how things turn around. So don't be so mad if somebody tries to stomp your growth. Because guess what? It can come around. You might be their boss one day. You just never know.